Sweat is our new. Thank you, Emily. So we're recording this for posterity, and Emily, would you like to say anything about the translation?
Sí. Si necesitas interpretación, busca abajo en la pantalla Zoom la opción de interpretación y selecciona la opción de español. El botón se parece a una figura del mundo.
Perfect. Thank you. I understood it all. And Ted Sweat is here. Ted, do you want to say anything briefly before we launch?
Well, I just like to call everyone's attention to the fact that the process that Robert will outline for us differs from the process that we have followed in the past under revised diocesan guidelines that are intended to create a smoother and faster process for getting into rectorship. So it's an important discussion, and thank you for attending.
Thank you, Ted. Well, Robert Phillips is our transition officer for the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, among many other hats that he wears. And Robert, thank you for taking the time to talk us through this today. I'm going to put myself on mute and let you and Anne-Marie take it from here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeffrey and Ted and Emily and Joymel. And to all of you all, welcome, welcome. I'm just delighted to be able to spend some time with you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I think it's cold outside. I haven't been there to actually experience that, but I've been told it's a little chilly. But it's wonderfully warm in here, and warm that which I experienced from you on the screen as well. I want to welcome as well my colleague, Anne-Marie Jeffrey, who serves in the diocese as the canon for congregational vitality. And so you'll be hearing from her with respect to one of the major components that she's responsible for later on in our time together. So that being said, let's move into a discussion, or rather my presentation, if you will, to you regarding the transition model, the new transition model that we are using now here in the diocese. So I'm going to share with you my screen. There we are. All right. So it is an updated model, Things have changed. Things have changed a great deal, and we need to be responsive to that change. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's set the stage. Before we can get into the model itself, we need to acknowledge some current realities. And the truth of the matter is that there's some current harsh or stark realities that we must address. The first one deals with the availability of clergy. The priest pool of potential candidates has dwindled due to prolonged illnesses, retirements, and deaths. Last year, we had 2 clergy people who died. Some priests have moved up their date of retirement based on COVID. And you might ask about seminarians. Well, while seminarians are graduating, there is a need for mentoring of these seminarians to occur, such that newly ordained priests are equipped with the real life skills that are necessary to serve our parishes. And the truth behind that is, I mentioned mentors. Well, the mentor pipeline is very shallow as well. Seminarians also are not always discerning a call to parish ministry. Some seminarians or newly ordained priests have discerned or are discerning calls to the chaplaincy, to not-for-profit organizations, or even back into the academy, getting their PhDs so that they can come back and serve as a professor at the seminary. So not all newly ordained priests are discerning a call to the parish ministry. Also, there is an impact of time on the search process. We no longer have the luxury of extended periods of time for the search process. As there are many more parishes in transition than there are priests, we are truly in a priest's market. Currently, as I'm speaking to you on this day, there are 35 parishes in active transition in the Diocese of Washington out of a total of 85. 35 in active transition. And what I mean by active transition is that these are parishes that have either an interim rector, a priest in charge, or have been using supply priests, and many of those parishes have been using supply priests for quite some time. So we are in a priest's market. Therefore, this search process must be conducted in the most time-efficient manner. When qualified skilled candidates are identified, we've got to quickly act, else the priest may be called to another parish and may no longer be available. The other reality is with respect to availability of financial resources for both clergy compensation and overall parish financial sustainability. Some parishes have experienced financial challenges for quite some time, not being able to provide and sustain compensation for a settled rector, and leaning upon supply priests to keep them afloat. Consequently, some parish financial profiles have shifted in a negative direction, and the viability of the parish within the context of financial sustainability has been placed in the space of great concern. COVID exacerbated the financial situations of some of our parishes that were struggling from the beginning, but COVID then exacerbated it. So we find ourselves having parishes that are really struggling to just exist. Therefore, former ways of engaging the search process need to be modified to address these current realities. We cannot continue to do business as usual. We've got to make a change. So, what does that look like? Well, this newly proposed search process, if you will, it seeks to do my three S's. The first S is simplify. Historically, the search process has been perceived as an overwhelming and a daunting task. That's no surprise to anybody. Sometimes this has been primarily due to the nature of the process and the roles of those engaged in the process not being fully understood. Overall confusion about roles and responsibilities. This model provides a clearly defined sequential task and clearly defined roles and responsibilities for all that are involved in the process. That's what this model seeks to do. My next S of streamlining the process, it's all about identity. As many parishes will need to consider creative ways of sustainability, this process or this model will enable the parish to articulate their identity in its totality so that the appropriate next steps can be discussed. One of the major shifts here is that now we are front-ending the search process with identity of the parish versus identity of the clergy to be called. We're front-ending the identity of the parish versus the identity of the clergy to be called. That will be addressed, but not in the initial phase. And my third S is to shorten the process. The search process will be conducted by the vestry in collaboration with diocesan assigned facilitators so that major process outcome deliverables are developed with completeness, conciseness, and correctness. The vestry will be supported every step of the way by diocesan assigned facilitators. As the final call that is made by the vestry, the process through intentional diocesan support equips, enlightens, and encourages the vestry to perform its tasks. And here's one of the major cornerstones that I want to bring up at this town hall meeting. And the process is intentional about engaging all parishioners to provide their input towards the development of the search process documents. Again, to shorten the search process will be conducted by the vestry, and it will not be conducted by a separate search committee. Now, what does that look like? Let's build on that. As I speak about these diocesan trained facilitators, there are 3 teams that I have developed that will support the vestry as they go through this search process. One of the teams is the diocesan finance team. the Diocesan Finance Committee team. That is headed up by Andrew Walter, our canon to the ordinary. The Diocesan Parish Vitality Assessment team, that is headed up by Canon Anne Marie Jeffrey, who is on our call today. She is the canon for congregational vitality. And the third team is the Diocesan OTM, or Office of Transition Ministry, Parish Profile team, and that's headed up by yours truly. And what has happened is that what we've done is in each one of these teams, you're going to see people from the diocese that have already experienced this transition process. So they bring a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of wisdom to the table. And they will walk alongside the vestry as these major documents are being generated and developed. So let's step into the actual steps. There are 8 steps in this model, 8 steps in our search process in this new model. The first step is the scheduling of clergy. As your rector has announced that he is going to be leaving, in the meantime, immediately following his departure, there may be the scheduling of supply clergy, but you all are blessed to have wonderful associates there as well. So there is this window of opportunity for current clergy as well as any other supply clergy to come on board and to support in this process, in this time frame. Step 2 is the transition officer meeting. 2 weeks ago, I believe, I met with the vestry, the transition officer, myself. I met with the vestry to talk about the process. And then I asked if I could meet with you, all the parishioners, in a town hall. So truth be told, you've checked both of those boxes, steps 1 and 2 already. So you're ahead of the game already. Let's move into step 3. Step 3 is the financial review. The financial review, again, will be facilitated by a person from the Diocesan Finance Review team, all right? And what will happen is that there will be, I'm looking at the financial review to encompass 3 prongs, P-R-O-N-G-S, 3 prongs. The first prong is, can you pay your bills? What's your income and what are your expenses? Can you pay your bills? The second prong is at the compensation package that you will be able to provide to your new clergy. A detailed compensation package, cash, housing allowance, utilities included, SECA, pension, healthcare, dental, continuing education, transportation allowance, all of those things, all of those details will be addressed. And the third prong is a detailed job description. A detailed job description. And the reason that I include a detailed job description is because I want you to take an opportunity to actually write down, to list out all of the responsibilities and expectations that you have for your new clergy person, and then set that alongside the compensation package that you're going to offer, and to ensure that they are in sync with each other. Sometimes you may think this is an exaggeration, but it really has happened. Sometimes the list of expectations and responsibilities goes on and on and on for 20 some odd pages, and then the compensation package pales in what it should be. So that is something that has happened. So those are the 3 prongs, if you will, for the financial review. The next step is the Parish Vitality Assessment. And the Parish Vitality Assessment was birthed out of one of the 3 major subject areas from the Diocesan Annual Convention of 2020. Those 3 major subject areas were formation, revitalization, and justice. Formation, revitalization, and justice. And the Parish Vitality Assessment was birthed from the revitalization subject area. So I'm going to put a little comma here and invite my colleague, Canon Anne Marie Jeffrey, to say a little bit about what this Parish Vitality Assessment process is going to look like as you engage in this model.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you all. The Parish Vitality Assessment, it's a way to take a snapshot of where your parish is, it's based on 7 vital signs of parish health. There are 7 areas of parish life. And it's a good thing to do as you change clergy leadership. It'll inform your process. It'll inform how you talk to your candidates. And it lets you know where you've been going. I mean, often, the clergy person helps us do this, helps us cast vision. And then as you change, it's good for the parish to have a good sense of where they are so they can know what they're looking for next. What ministries are we doing really well with? Where do we want to grow? Where do we want to focus? And what kind of person can we partner with as we look forward to the future? Doing the vitality process, this is one of the places where the whole congregation comes in, because you really have to talk to the whole congregation to know how the parish is doing. So the vestry starts with the 7 vital signs. They'll learn about them, and they will find a way to gather the information from the parish and how the parish thinks you're doing. And that could be a survey, it could be town halls, focus groups. I tell vestries, it's what works for your parish. You know your parish, you know how to talk to your parish. So what works for your parish? At the end, you have a report, which will then prepare you for the next part of the search, filling out your OTM profile, but now I'm getting into the next step. And if you do a profile or put anything up on the website, that also tells you, all right, this is where we want to grow. This is where we want to take our next steps. It's a really good way of taking a snapshot and seeing where we are or where we want to go.
Thank you. Thank you. And you may be curious. As Anne-Marie lifted up these vital signs, what these vital signs are. These vital signs, there's 7 of them, and they include the following: a compelling mission and vision, clear path of discipleship, faithful financial practices, inspiring and capable leadership, welcoming and connecting ministries, uplifting and inviting worship, and blessing our community. All right, those are the 7 vital signs. And just as Anne-Marie just lifted up, the parish vitality assessment will enable you to assess where you are on with those vital signs in the vitality of your parish. So let's build on that. The next step is a website review. And it truly is a very high level website review, in that you're looking at your website and you're examining it to see if there are things that reside in your website that you have not mentioned in your parish vitality assessment, and vice versa. Are there things in your parish vitality assessment that don't have a home in your website? And so what you're going to do is to just tag those inconsistencies. It's not a time to do a whole reconstruction of your website, no, but it's time to just tag those inconsistencies. And then you may want to go back into your parish vitality assessment and make the appropriate tweaks along the way. The next step is the OTM Parish Profile, Office of Transition Ministry profile. In this particular profile enables you to do a type of a drill down on that which you have identified in your parish vitality assessment. Not completely, but a little bit in some of the areas. There are 11 questions that currently exist, 11 narrative questions that exist on the OTM parish profile. And they include, just to give you a sampling, a taste of them, they include questions like this. How do you practice incorporating others in ministry? As a worshiping community, how do you care for your spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being? How do you engage in pastoral care for those beyond your worshiping community? What is your practice of stewardship, and how does it shape the life of your worshiping community? What is your worshiping community's experience of conflict, and how have you addressed it? Again, just giving you a flavoring of some of the questions. It's a total of 11 questions in the OTM parish profile. Step 7 is the next steps team meeting. the Next Steps team meeting. The Next Steps team is comprised of your clergy, your existing clergy, the vestry in its entirety, the diocesan facilitators, the person for the financial review, the parish vitality assessment, and the OTM parish profile, your transition officer, me, and your regional dean. And the reason that I'm including your regional dean in the Next Steps team is because as we gather around the table, all of us, all of the stakeholders at the same time, and we discuss what we have found out, our findings, the regional dean is present to identify any possible opportunities for collaborative ministry to take place. For example, if at your parish, at St. Albans, there's this passion for social justice, which I believe there is a passion for social justice with you all, that might manifest itself, let's say, for example, in the homeless ministry. The regional dean is there as one of my boots on the ground to be able to say, well, you know what? That's what you all are doing here. Well, there's another parish who has a passion in doing a very similar ministry in this region. And I'd like to connect you all so that you can have collaborative energy together. The Next Steps team meeting, the outcome of the Next Steps team meeting is just that. What is the next step? What is the next step? Is it to upload the OTM parish profile in its totality to the database so that it can be advertised throughout? Or is it to be creative where you're going to do a drill down with respect to collaborative ministry or merging or yoking, whatever that might be, The Next Steps team has a conversation, which includes, again, all of those major stakeholders to make that determination. Then the final step, of course, is the implementation of the Next Steps team. Let me share with you, before I bring us back into the room, some timelines. With respect to the financial review, that takes anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. The parish vitality assessment, 6 to 8 weeks. The website review, 1 week. The OTM parish profile, 4 to 6 weeks. And the Next Steps team meeting, 1 to 2 weeks. So overall, from the time that you begin your financial review until the time that you begin potentially receiving applications, you're looking at anywhere from between 3 to 6 months, substantially less than the amount of time that it has taken in the past to do the search process with a previous model. So with that, I invite you all to breathe. Everybody breathe, because I know I just laid a tsunami of information upon you. So everybody breathe. And I open it up for any and all of your questions.
This is Tim Coughlin.
Yes.
Hope you can see me.
Yes, I can.
And for those who don't know me, my wife, Lori, we have been members of St. Albans for, I suppose it's 38 years. Thank you, Lori. So I've been a member of vestry for 8 years. I was junior warden, Sunday school teacher. I was chairman of the annual fund drive for 4 years. Lori and I were the chairpersons for the previous, not the current, capital fund drive. And Lori used to work a day a week when no one else was in the church office answering the telephone. And this is my question. And it's a very simple one. We had a blessed rector in Frank Wade, and he retired. And we had 2 successive rectors that basically were failures for us. There may be those that disagree with that, but they didn't last very long. And then through the blessings of Bishop Marianne Buddy, we had Jeffrey Hoare, who came as presiding rector and became rector, priest in charge. And my question to you is, How involved is Bishop Marion Buddy going to be in this search? Is she going to be asked for her opinion? I would like that to be first and center before the three S's, before the 8 steps. I would like her to be consulted and asked for her help, because she is a fantastic bishop. And I think that we ought to include her from the outset. And we ought to be asking her for her recommendations without needing to ask her through the 3 steps, the three S's and the 8 steps, and asking her for her help while we go through the process. I'm all for the process you're going through, but I would like to ask our Bishop Marianne Buddy for her assistance. And she is in church, I guess it's called Church House. She's right next to us on the close. And so what is happening to ask her to come to our assistance again?
Thank you. Thank you. First off, Bishop Marianne has been involved from the very beginning. She's been in conversation with Jeffrey from the very beginning. So there have been many conversations. She's been very involved in the way in which this process is rolling itself out, not only with St. Albans, but with other parishes as well. So she has been, and will continue to be supportive of the process for St. Albans from the beginning until the end.
But will she be asked for her suggestions and recommendations?
She's open to giving upon being asked for applicants and things of that nature, people that she may know that she might want to encourage to apply, and that type of input, of course.
Would you do that for us?
Of course she would. Of course she
would.
would.
Would you do that for us?
Would I do that as far as bring new applicants? Of course. Yes.
You ask her, please.
Yes. In being the transition officer, each diocese has a transition officer. And in fact, we meet on a semi-annual basis to come together to share about parishes that are looking for priests, as well as priests that are looking for parishes. So this is energy that is all throughout, in a very high degree, throughout the entire church. So I am there. I'm always looking for not only qualified priests, and this is very, very key. Not only qualified priests, I want you to have a priest who fits the qualifications, but even more importantly, I want it to be a coupling of qualifications and skill set, which is why the identity of the parish needs to be stated from the beginning, so that you can find yourself connected with a priest who's going to be able to meet you where you are. Thank you.
Can I say something for a moment? I was thinking that one of the reasons that Bishop Marianne was probably able to really help you find your present rector was because of what was going on before, and that she had to be very involved. So she got to know you well. So all this process will again help her to get you well, because you've probably changed some since then. And so as she reviews the material, she'd be like, oh, they have grown in this. Oh, they're looking at that. So, bringing her in the beginning is an idea, but having her see what you bring together, I think also will be helpful, because then she will learn about where you are right now.
Thank you. Anton Vanderpool, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Robert. Anton Vanderpool, a member of the parish and also a member of Diocesan Standing Committee. As this process has been in work and in some level of activity over time, how many parishes at this time, either including the 35 that are in transition, or any that have landed a priest within the last 6 months or so, how many have gone through this process in its entirety or in some situation? Over to you.
As of now, yes. As of now, when I look at the number of parishes that have actually started the process, because that's something too, not every parish is ready to begin this process, truth be told. But right now, I believe that I have probably about 8 to 10 parishes that are actively engaging in the process. And 4 of them are currently live, if you will, in that they've completed the process and now they have been uploaded to the OTM database, the national database, if you will, and they've started to receive applications. So it's a goodly number. It's a goodly number. I'm just so touched by the smiles that I see on the screen and the sense of peace that I sense on the screen. This is lovely. I need to come join you all on a more regular basis. Well, I'll tell you what, I never say goodbye.
Actually, Robert, there's a couple folks with questions.
Oh, there are? Oh, okay, I didn't see. I'm sorry.
There's a couple hands raised, Deborah Potter and Andrew Bergen.
Oh, okay, yes. I didn't see hands. So Deborah Potter?
Yeah, I'm curious with the new process, whether some of the old rules apply, which included no one on the clergy being considered for the position of rector. Does that remain part of the, I guess, the approach, part of the rules?
You know, I think that we need to read-view those rules. Truth of the matter is that, St. Albans, you all are one of the few parishes that actually has a clergy team. So this is one of the things that I think that we need to probably bring to the table for further discussion. That has been a rule. But admittedly, I must admit that with with the exception of one of the other parishes that I work with this new model, they haven't had a clergy team. So duly noted, and stay tuned for that. I'll get back with you on that one. There was another hand, I believe, another question.
Thank you, Robert. Hi, I'm Andrew Bergen, and
Yes.
I'm struck by how similar your new method, your new model is in relation to a research institute that I'm a member of, a nonprofit. And of course, everyone's lives have changed over the last couple of years. And we're dealing with a lot of new economic and personnel and communication realities. And so I just want to, say thank you for outlining that and bringing that new model to us, because I realize that things change. We can't necessarily always use the same approaches we've used in the past. And I also want to convey my thought that when we are ready to present ourselves to the database, let's put it that way, because that's what it's called. It's going to be very interesting to see how many and what type of priests approach us. So I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it too. I am too. I see Tomas Montgomery.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. A
Yeah.
quick question. Does the concept of a priest in charge still exist?
Oh, yes. Yes. Priest in charge does exist. The thing about the priest in charge model is that should there be an individual that is identified for priest in charge, well, you all have been through that because Jeffrey came in as priest in charge. All right. So you're familiar with the model where there are these checkpoints, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to make the decision to actually install this priest as your rector. So yes, that is definitely available. Yes.
It worked last time, that's why. Thank you.
Yeah, and I kind of had a feeling I would hear something about that today because you all had a very good experience with it last time. Kudos to Jeffrey and to the committee that brought him on board. Yes.
Catherine McLean, looks like you have a question.
I do. Just a quick question, and maybe it's something, Emily, you and Jeffrey and Jim can answer later for us, and Jamel, is how we'll be able to share this information with the rest of the parish. As sort of we have a couple of us children's chapters on here, but for the younger families of the parish who aren't with us today, always a hard time on a Sunday afternoon for people who have little kids, how we'll share this experience with them that may be new to this transition in a church.
Well, it is being recorded, right? It's being recorded as well as the slide deck. I will share that with Jeffrey as well. So you'll have that to look at, if you will, but it's being recorded. Mhm. Joyce Walker.
My impression of St. Albans is that this is a parish with wide connections throughout the church. A lot of people know a lot of people everywhere. That's just the nature of this church in this diocese, in this city. I wonder how appropriate, if it is, and where would it go for people who just say, gosh, I think Father Reverend so-and-so would be wonderful, but they're not necessarily in the clergy deployment office list at this very moment in New York, or haven't even indicated any interest in moving someplace else.
Mhm.
What do you do with that sort of question? Am I clear?
Yes. Thank you. The way that that's handled is that, you all do have connections. You have connections throughout the country, throughout the world. And when we get to the point where it's time to start sending in applications, which will be in the form of their OTM profile and their resume, to contact those priests and tell them, please submit your application and your resume to the vestry for consideration. So reach out to priests that you feel may be qualified and have the skill set to come and to serve at St. Albans. Please do. You'll make my job a little bit easier too. Please do, as you know more people. I'm looking at my host, the Reverend Emily Griffin, for are there any other hands raised?
I'm not seeing anyone, Robert.
All right. Well, again, I never say goodbye, just see you later. In fact, my office is right next door to y'all anyway. So I never say goodbye, just see you later. I am so excited about engaging in this model with you. I know there's a lot of energy at St. Albans. It's been a joy and continues to be a joy working with Jeffrey. And I'm getting to know Ted as your senior warden, and I can just imagine. I know it's going to be a time filled with a lot of good energy. By the same token, I encourage you, it's one thing to get involved in the process. That's fine, to get involved with the model. But also don't forget, as Jeffrey will be departing at some point in the future, to love on him and his wife. All right. In the meantime, love on them, because the truth of the matter is that upon their departure, you're going to grieve. You're going to grieve. All right. That's a natural response, a natural, healthy response. So yes, you need to love on all your clergy. Yes, I love the message in the chat. Love on all of your clergy, but as they are leaving, be intentional about that. And I share with them during this time, you all continue to intentionally love on the folks at St. Albans, which I know that you'll do because you're already done. So with that being said, I will, like I said, see you later. And unless, Jeffrey, is there anything else that you wanted me to address?
Just thanks to you and to Anne-Marie, and in fact to everybody for taking this time. Very much appreciate it. And are grateful to you for this clarity in this process, and looking forward to engaging it, and much appreciated. Ted, any last thoughts?
No, just to thank everyone for participating. We've got a daunting but exciting challenge ahead of us. And the vestry looks forward to engaging with the parish as a whole to make the process work well and to come to a terrific outcome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ed. If you would keep the vestry in your prayers, because we not only have the search to do, we have a lot of other things to do as well. So
yes, By all means, by all means. And Marie, were there any final words you had too?
No, I have every confidence. I know Jeffrey was the answer to a lot of prayer, and he came along and did very well. And trust that God has someone good for you coming. Trust that you're on this journey, and keep those eyes and ears open, and someone will come.
All right.
Well, thank you all. Peace and blessings, and see you soon. And don't forget to give up staying home for Lent.
Bless
Good
you.
idea. Bye.